In today's video, we discuss my experiences of renting storage for my business and whether I think it's been worth the investment. Cue the intro. Hi folks, welcome to the channel. For those of you new here, my name's Andrew. I'm a part-time eBay and Amazon reseller, which means I buy stuff and sell it on eBay and Amazon for a profit. Today, I thought I would talk about using storage for the business. Now, a lot of people, when they start out their reselling journey, start from home. They have their stock stored at home, everything that they've listed and unlisted as well sits at home, ready to to send out to customers, ready to list on eBay, ready to send into Amazon, whatever the case may be. And that's exactly how I started out my journey as well. I live in a 3-bedroom semi-detached, well, end of terrace actually, with a garage. I thought ample room here to start a business. I can use the garage to store stock in. I can use the spare room to work from. I thought, great, reselling is exactly what I'll do, and I'll have plenty of room, and I'll never need to worry about storage. And that lasted about 2 or 3 months. Basically, as the business grew and more money started coming in, I was buying more stuff because I was reinvesting the profits, and my backlog of stock was increasing. At the same time, I was listing more items as I became familiar with the process of listing stuff on eBay. I got better at it, and I was able to list stuff quicker, and I was able to increase the size of my store. And year on year, the size of the eBay store has increased, both in amount of listings and monetary value of that listed product. As I've learned new niches, I've branched out, I've evolved the store into all kinds of different directions. And now I have a store that has over 3,000 items listed. Those listed items take up about 400 square feet of storage, which is more than is available in my house. I also have a substantial amount of unlisted stock as well, which takes up actually even more than the listed, because when you're reinvesting profits back into the business, the thing that you spend most of that money on is stock, which gradually adds to a backlog as a result. So yeah, very early on in my journey, within like the first year, I reached the point where I needed to get stuff out of the house. The house was being filled, so I got my first storage unit. It was great actually. It was 140 square foot unit. I outfitted it. I put loads of unlisted stock in it. I was still keeping my listed stock in the garage at the time because I wanted it close to hand to be able to, deal with any queries that came in it, and to be able to get it shipped and sent out really quickly. Then I had the opportunity come up to get a really big space which I called the Cowshed. And if you look at the playlist on this YouTube video, you'll see my experiences in the Cowshed. It was a massive space, had its own office and everything, and it was really cheap. It was like 300 quid a month. So I got there, and because I had more room, I started filling it. The only problem was the Cowshed turned out to not be a suitable location to store stock. It had issues with water ingress that meant that I ended up having to vacate the Cowshed, and I moved everything, all my unlisted stock, into a 40-foot container, and my listed stock back in the garage. But I'd listed more stuff by this stage, so it also had to go into the garage and the spare bedroom in my house. The 40-foot container got filled pretty quickly, so I got another 40-foot container. That got filled pretty quickly. I also had power and lighting in that one, so I was doing some work from there as well. But yeah, that space just ran out. So I managed to get a office that was nearly 1,000 square foot in size on a really good deal, really cheaply. And I started working from there. and I was able to put more hours into the business. And so again, the amount of listed stock that I had increased, and uh, more money was coming in, so I was buying more stock. So the backlog increased. So eventually I filled that space. So I took on an additional shipping container for overflow of stock. So I then had an office and a 20-foot shipping container. And that was okay. And I could maintain that, and that was absolutely fine for my needs. But then, unfortunately, I got into some legal trouble that I needed to pay solicitors for to help me out with that, and so I could no longer afford to maintain the office. So I had to give it up and move to a 600 square foot unit, and I started filling the house with stock again as well. I built a shed in the garden, filled that up, and yeah, sort of almost downsized. I had everything down to 600 square foot unit, the garage, my house and shed, all full. Um, Gradually increasing the amount of listed stock again. And eventually that 600 square foot unit reached a stage where it wasn't enough. So I got another shipping container, the same one I'd had before actually. Um, that I filled up while speaking to the landlord of my place where I rent the 600 square foot unit from. He was able to say to me, "Oh, I've got another 400 square foot unit you can have," which was 20 quid a month more than I was paying for my shipping container. So I took it. I gave up the shipping container, moved everything into there. So I now have a 600 square foot unit and a 400 square foot unit. Um, I've emptied the house because I'm putting that up for sale and moved everything into these units. But to be honest, there are issues with this approach. Um, the first is that it's like over a 30-minute round trip to my units. So I no longer have the advantage of having stock on site and being able to go and, if I have a customer query, go and look it out and pick it up. Um, the you know, if I get a question from a customer, it's going to be half an hour round trip to answer it. So, I'm not going to be able to answer it the same day. I'll answer it the next day when I go and pick my orders for packing, which time I've just probably gone and bought off someone else. So that does cause a bit of a problem. You've also got to think about security as well. Is the stock safe? You can insure it, but if you insure it, they're only going to insure it for cost of goods. And if you're buying stuff from car boots and places like that, it's a bit of a struggle with proving the cost of goods. So need somewhere secure as a result. Location I got is fairly secure, doesn't necessarily have any issues, which is good, but definitely something to think about. Also, like moving stock around all the time is not easy and not fun. And because both my units are full, I have to list stock at home to take it and then take it to the units, which, means I've got to travel down, carry stuff, put it in boxes, unpack it, put it all away. So it's not a greatly effective process. I think the long and the short of it is what I've learned over these few years of doing this, that mentally it's good to have that separation between the business and home. So I certainly don't regret having storage units. I think if you're going to expand your business, unless you're dealing with small items like labels, postcards, patches, uh, those kind of things, maybe computer games. Unless you're dealing with small items that don't take up a lot of storage, it's going to get into your house. It's going to take over the house. So it is good to, as you expand, to get additional storage. And unless you live in a big house, you're going to run out of room if you're dealing with big stuff. So you are going to have to get either a big shed or some kind of external storage. If you get storage at your house, you're always going to be limited by how big that is. You can't keep on expanding your house, unfortunately, in size, even if you build new sheds, etc., unless you have a massive plot of land. So at some point, you're still going to have to rent somewhere, or maybe if you're really lucky, buy somewhere. If you're renting somewhere and your circumstances change, as happened to me, you do, unless you're in a long contract, you do have the ability of flexibility, so you can expand and downsize the business as needed. So I've done exactly that. I've expanded and downsized, and the rental arrangements I've had in place will allow me to do that. But it is also dead money. That money is just literally going on rent. It's paying somebody else's bills. It's not really contributing to me. The only thing it's allowed me to do, though, is to expand the business. If I had just built a big shed in my garden, stuck to that and the garage, then I would have hit a limit in how much stuff I could have listed. And I'd reached the point where I was selling stuff off cheap because I didn't have the room to store it any longer. So by having that additional room, I'm able to get the best prices possible for my items, so it does ultimately pay for itself from that perspective. But this is where circumstances change now. My house is on the market. I am looking to move to the Prestatyn area, which is where I currently am. I'm at my mother's house. And I really am fed up of travelling to go and sort out stock and get orders and pack things, etc. So I am now at the stage where I want to expand and grow the business, but I want to do it from home. So I will be looking to bring my storage back in-house, mainly for my listed stock. If I can put some unlisted stock in place, then that's a bonus, but I want to be able to have all the listed stock at home, so I can just like list it at home, ship it from home, pick it from home. If I have any questions, I can go and look at the items, and I don't have to travel every day to go and get orders to pack. So I will reach the stage of having a limit on how much I can list and deal with, but I'm happy to accept that for the benefit of everything being at home, being at one place. I don't mind storing my unlisted stock elsewhere, but I do want to work through that and get that reduced. But yeah, that's the plan in the future. But certainly my experiences have been that it's good to be able to expand and grow your business, and I think it's actually essential at some point. If you want to keep growing your business, keep expanding it and keep pushing it, then you are going to have to get your own storage at some point. You start off small with a shipping container, and you might work up bigger to an office, and even bigger to a warehouse, and you might eventually at some point reach a stage where you can own your own property as well to resell from. But there will come to a point where you have to decide what is the main priority for you in your life when you're running the business. Is it your lifestyle, or is it keeping growing and pushing that business? I've reached the point where lifestyle is starting to become more important, and therefore I am looking to move my business to one location with possibly the use of a shipping container for unlisted stock until I've worked through it and listed it. But yeah, I guess in conclusion I would say don't be afraid to get storage, to spend money on it, but be aware that if you're doing that, you really want to only do that so that it's growing your business and it's helping you take that business forward. It's helping you have more items listed, make more sales, and pay for itself. If you're doing it just because you've got too much unlisted stock, then that's the wrong move really. You want to focus on getting that unlisted stock listed and then have a look to see where your business is at. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, comment television down below, because I do like to see random comments on the channel. So comment television down below. And don't forget to hit that like button on your way out, because that really does help the channel grow. Thank you very much. See you on the next video. Bye for now.